Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss some details about a New York City subway chase scene that will be appearing in the upcoming Scream 6. The info comes directly from an actor in the movie, and Radio Silence may not be happy about some of the behind the scenes info she revealed. Also in this video, I will include some bonus content from a recent interview with Jack Champion, who's a new cast member joining Scream 6, who's playing a character named Evan. While being interviewed about starring in the upcoming James Cameron film Avatar 2, Way of the Water, Jack was also asked how he felt about making his horror franchise debut next year alongside Ghostface. But that's not all he revealed. Let's go! So before we get into these amazing subway chase scene details, Collider recently interviewed Scream 6 newcomer Jack Champion. Let's see what he had to say about being in the film. Now, as it turns out, he's pretty thrilled, and while he's joining a solid cast and crew, when he was asked which of the existing Scream movies was his favorite, Champion wasted no time saying, quote, "The first one, easy." Now, this does not come as any big surprise to us, obviously. I mean, the majority of the Scream fandom, including myself, ranks Scream 96 in first place, as it truly is a Wes Craven masterpiece. I mean, there's basically about as perfect of a movie as I've ever seen. When director Wes Craven released Scream to the world in the mid-90s, it was a game changer in the way it had its audiences examining the genre. Similar to like the hockey mask and coveralls of the 70s and 80s, Ghostface donned a simple Halloween costume and caused mayhem on a group of teens. But unlike their predecessors, Ghostface broke the rules, and still is, and kept viewers guessing, and continued to do so with each sequel. Now, besides being a pillar of the spooky, scary flicks, Champion is psyched to join because he's a fan himself, saying, "Oh, well, I'm a massive Scream fan too. So jumping into Scream was, I think what made me excited was just that Scream was my favorite horror slasher genre there is." So guys, this had to be like a dream come true to have the opportunity to be a character in your favorite slasher franchise is just so awesome. I mean, it would be amazing. I'm sure that all of us who put Scream as our number one franchise would absolutely jump at the opportunity to play even a little tiny part, much less a starring role as one of the new characters that's going to be involved with the Core 4 as they're now at college. I am really pumped to see what his character is going to be like and how long he'll survive. And I want to mention Jack Champion. Remember a few months ago when he was the first announced that he was joining the cast of Scream 6, all of a sudden began to follow on Twitter Matthew Lillard. That's right. Prior to that, he was not following Matthew Lillard, but now he is. So is it a coincidence? Maybe, or maybe not. Now, the article finishes on what I thought was a curious statement that leaves me wondering, does Collider know something for sure that we all suspect already? Check out this closing sentence. Whether Champion's character Evan will live to see the 7th entry is anyone's guess. But we're eager to find out when Scream 6 hits theaters March 10th, 2023. So the fact that this is so, quote, matter of fact about the 7th entry is, I believe, worth noting and paying attention to. I mean, I know we all pretty much agree that this has been a trilogy planned out since the beginning, especially the way we know Scream 6, or I should say, Scream 6 was already greenlit and already had rented the production offices before Scream 5 was released in theaters. That all points to this being very planned out, very strategically, planned as a trilogy. I believe that's the case. And I think that it could just as well be, in fact, leaked confirmation right here in Collider that Scream 7 is already greenlit. Now, I know that may be a stretch to some, and it could be. But however, the fact that it says that way, how we'll even live to see the 7th entry, it's very much like this individual knows. They already know there's going to be a 7th entry. It doesn't even say it like, who knows if a 7th movie gets filmed, will they survive? It's not even like that. It's just whether Champion's character Evan will live to see the 7th entry is anyone's guess. So anyway, I thought it was just worth at least mentioning to you guys. It jumped out to me. All my little check engine lights went off when I read that. And I will be keeping a very close eye on that, of course. So stay tuned. Okay, now it's time to dive into some juicy New York subway chase scene details. So recently, one of the extras that was cast in Scream 6, who has a TikTok account, has come out, and let me just tell you, they're not afraid to use it. Now, TikTok user Billy Bop Billy posted several images of her experience of heading in for wardrobe fittings and to shoot her scenes at Mel's studio in Montreal. So first up, she's about to leave for the day, and she says, "Come with me to the fitting before a big movie." And she is off on her way to begin filming and begin being fitted over at Mel's studio in Montreal. And here she is arriving at Mel's to go in and do what needs to be done. Now, we get to see her wardrobe costumes for the movie next. And first is this outfit for a scene hanging out in a metro New York City. So could just be downtown, hanging out with friends, doing the social scene. And next is an outfit that, with the exception of the jacket, it looks a lot like scrubs worn by a nurse or doctor. But the hat is throwing me off. So we'll have to wait and see if this may be a work uniform, which is what is very possible with the hat matching. Or, you know what, it just could be that it just happens to look like one, but we'll see. Now, here in this image, we see her sporting a Halloween costume of a wedding dress. And this is my most favorite image that she shared. But this is not just any wedding dress. If you guys have seen the Radio Silence film Ready or Not, you're going to recognize immediately that it looks almost identical to the wedding dress seen here in Ready or Not, worn by the amazing Samara Weaving, who, by the way, is also starring in Scream 6, which I can't wait to see what her character is going to be. This is basically a fountain of meta overflowing, and I absolutely love it. So awesome. And then finally, her last image that she shared was after she was done at the end of the day. And she says here on the image that she's only in 3 scenes in the film. But one thing that, we've learned from the past is that just because the quantity may be low, the quality of those scenes could be high with certain characters. Doesn't matter that how many you're in, it's how much you make of the ones you are in and what your character is going to do. So, not going to discount only being in 3 movie scenes, because that doesn't mean they're not powerful or very important scenes. Now, what gets really interesting is when she discusses the subway chase scene. She says, quote, "I had to shove Ghostface on the subway, and we were trying to plan where best to put him, and I just said no. But if we put him there, I took the guy next to me and moved him." The guy in question was the director. So this would have been Matt or Tyler from Radio Silence. And I didn't know it. Everyone was super uncomfortable. But I think the director liked me because I was clumsy. So can you imagine this as being an extra, again, not like Melissa or Jenna Ortega or something. This is an extra character who's there who doesn't realize that this person next to her or standing near her is one of the 2 directors. And she literally like grabs him, picks him, and moves him physically to a spot. And she has no clue who this person is. Like this is literally person could fire you on the spot if they wanted to. And I think that's hilarious. And obviously Tyler and Matt are good sports about it because they didn't do that. And so I think that's just great. And she says, everyone was super uncomfortable because obviously everyone else there probably knew exactly who this person was. So that would be a vibe, I'm sure. But I think that's just a hilarious story. What a great story that you'll always be able to tell. 30 years from now, you'll be able to tell that story about this movie you were in as an extra, and you picked the director up and moved him. That's awesome. Great stuff. Now, and lastly here, and this is really interesting too. When describing the actual subway setup in the soundstage, she had this to say. Fun fact, in the subway scene, they took a real subway car and created a way to make it move for real. It doesn't just move in the windows. It moves for real. And when it shakes for real. And the extras who fall for real. So this is a pretty cool little tidbit of trivia that we may or may not have ever learned about. So when they did this in the soundstage, they set it up where it's, because typically you'll put a vehicle or a subway car, like in this case, and you'll green screen behind it, and it will look like it's moving, but it's not really moving. You know how these things work. We see it all the time in movies and TV shows, but that's not really the case here. The car is actually going to be moving with real motion, not simulated motion, which I think is pretty cool. And my hat's off to Radio Silence for going the extra mile, because they didn't have to do that. They could have easily just thrown the green screen up, told the actors, okay, everyone act like you're moving and about to fall down, and they could have just acted it out. And this is like an extra little piece, though. They wanted a more authentic. They wanted a more of a realistic feel to the scene. So they went ahead and did the extra step and figured out a way to make it where the car moves, which is really, really cool. So I like that. Attention to detail is a big thing. I always say when you see directors and filmmakers go the extra mile on little tiny things, it always makes me feel much better about what they're going to be doing with the big things, like the things that really matter, when they do a lot of details on the things that don't really matter as much. And so Radio Silence, this is another example of that. So that gives me a lot of excitement and hope and optimism. So I'm really pumped for this movie. All right, guys, listen, I want to know now, what do you think about this article featuring Jack Champion and also this subway info from Billy Bob Billy, user on TikTok? I want to know your thoughts, ideas, and your theories. So lots of here to talk about. So start leaving your comments below right now. Let's discuss it together in the comments section. Well, that's going to be all for this update, but I'll be back soon with more Scream 6 and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thank you for watching.